welcome. Thank you for coming. Let's see. When I became the chair, I was committed to do community outreach. So we've been going around the valley and talking to not necessarily students, but talking to constituents. We're going to have a short PowerPoint, and I'm going to turn it over to Mark Browning, and you're going to introduce the rest. Oh, first of all, I do want to introduce one person. Would you please stand up, Ethan? This is my son. He had to go, so thank you for coming, Ethan.
Ethan, I'm glad you're here. So, I also want to introduce Stan Bastian, who's a member of the trustees tonight. Patrick Tanner is here. He's our Associate Vice President for Student Services and Enrollment Services at the college. So he has everything from admissions to financial aid to student advising. So, Zach, Ashley, Ross, Judd, our crew that's here tonight, they've been troopers. So, all right, Bob, I know you've seen some of this, but my new friends down here, we're going to get through this. So, all right. You're here tonight in Eagle, but in case there's anything you missed tonight, or if you think of a really swell question tomorrow, and you're like, oh, I want to hammer those turkeys with that because they didn't touch on that, there's 2 more opportunities next week. Meridian City Hall and Cuna High School on the other end of the valley. You've met Mark and you've met Stan. Stan is here in Eagle. He's also a member of the State Council. Our vice chair is Emily Walton, Mary Nyland, and Skip Snyder, our other 2 trustees. They are elected from particular zones within trustees, and they serve the entire district, which is Ada and Canyon County. So to go back and kind of understand how we got here today, I want to just touch back on when we really started, which this was the landscape in 2006. So we had 7 institutions of higher learning here, 3 research universities, a 4-year college in Lewiston, a technical college in Idaho Falls, and then 2 community colleges. 2007, voters approved a measure to start the College of Western Idaho here. We opened our doors for classes the first time in January of 2009 with 1,200 students. By 2010, when we completely transitioned the technical program from Boise State, we had 17,000 students. We were really growing. Next year, clubs, activities got started at the college. It was the first of our 5 national championships in debate. I know folks here at Eagle High School know a little something about debate. Very good. Micron Center for Career Technology opened. That was a great collaboration with our community and a lot of help from the Micron Foundation, but especially from the Albertson Foundation that took the old Sam's Club that was abandoned just off Canada, not abandoned, but vacated off Canada Road. It was not abandoned, but 2013, as our students are now starting to move through, remember we started in 2009, so in 10 we're really starting with some of those in 2 to 3 years, and we get our circulation agreements with our 4 four-year schools here in town, so ISU, Boise State, University of Idaho, and Lewis Clark. Completely transferable courses and credits. We're growing 24,000 students by this year, which means we need more space, right? Are we having a little trouble here? Oh, go ahead. We're going to take a little break. Yeah, we're all good. Okay. So the reason I touch on this slide is lease space. When we started, we had 2 buildings that came over from Boise State. The academic building in Nampa, which if you've been out on Canada, that's the big 3-story one, right? And then there's one on the boulevard called the Canyon County Center. As we go back here, 2012, we get our 3rd building, right? This is the one that we worked with the Albertson Foundation, the Micron Foundation. So by 14, we're leasing a lot of spaces. So you see our signs everywhere, right? We're on Maple Grove and Overland, right? We had some stuff on Vista Boulevard for a while. We're up at the old penitentiary with the horticulture center, right? We got other stuff going in Nampa, leasing a lot of buildings. Curriculum is now being redesigned to help students that are coming in that need help with math and English. Last fall, very big moment for us. We got our full accreditation final visit, okay? We're rolling about 24,000 students, and then we got the absolute okay this spring. What accreditation and why that's such a big deal, we want to touch on it. Courses are fully transferable to all state universities and colleges, but it's also our licensure, so now we have the full licensure ability to go out and develop our own programs. So now we're not operating under someone else's accreditation. It's like we went through a 7-year apprenticeship, is kind of how that worked. So here's how enrollment's gone over the last 5 years, from 2012 through 2016. You'll see the first two is kind of what I want to hit. Career technical education, so what we traditionally think of as trades, but also nursing, some of those things, right? Some of the health support services. And then academic affairs is what we would think of in our typical liberal arts, English, math, somebody gets a biology degree, pre-work for like anthropology, that kind of thing. You'll notice those numbers are softening a little bit. And why is that? Why aren't students coming at the same rate that they were? It's a really good economy. Unemployment in this valley is right at 3%. It's considered full employment. In the community college world, we run counter-cyclical to the economy. So when the economy is good, people aren't looking for as many opportunities to go and improve skills. They're looking to stay in the employment that they are. The other side of that skill, though, is that, or the slide is dual credit and workforce. So workforce is the training that we do customized to individual businesses. So if Western Cat needs something in particular, if there's a software developer in town that they need a 2 or 3 week certification course, we develop that for them. And dual credit, you guys all look like you're either high school or just barely out, right? Did you go here? Oh, very nice. Yeah, some of my son's idiot friends go to Renaissance. I hope you don't know them because they're knuckleheads. Renaissance. Great school, great school. And you're a member of the family. I like it. Very good. So, residents of Ada County, very good. You can see about 53% of our students say Ada County is their county of residence, 35 from Canyon, and then we make up the rest either out of district or out of state. And by out of district, we mean they don't live in either of those 2 counties, but they still live within the state. We're split pretty evenly. I mean, we've been offering classes in both Ada and Canyon County since '09. And you'll see about 9,500 take classes over in Canyon County, about 8,200 here, and 6,200 online. So do you take any of the courses online? Do you? Good. So, despite some of the enrollment softening over the last couple of years, we are actually seeing our students earn more in terms of certificates and degrees. And they're also now earning a certificate in general education, so you can get that core before you move on. So what's next? This is why we're here. This is the big reveal, Bob. This is why we're here. What we're seeing is that we really have a lot of work still to do. We've been incredibly successful from the start, but we now have a lot of work to do. And we have new degrees that are launching this fall. We're really beefing up the online offerings for those students to give you some more options when you take classes. Stackable credits. We're doing this through a lot of partnership in the community, and this is the one that, you know, all of our chambers of commerce, the other state agencies, but we work a lot with businesses. Western Cat especially, we've have a good story where we used to have a 2-year program where it took you 2 years to go through. You got your associate's degree and you came out as a licensed diesel technician. Cat said that just takes too long. We can't wait for you. Got to shorten it up because they'd hire the students before they were done. We worked with them to condense things, made it so it's an 8 to 5 program. The students are done in 13 months, still earn the degree, and they have a job waiting for them. And that's really what we're looking for. Workforce development, as we mentioned, those are the programs that we work with businesses that are on the non-credit side. So they don't get academic credit, but they get enhanced work skills. So we talked about accreditation. We have a new strategic plan that really is guiding our efforts on how we will meet the industry demand for what the jobs are now and what they'll be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And that's what really reveals to us we need classroom and lab space. We've got huge demand for healthcare careers. Yes, it's nurses. It's all kinds of nurses, right? BSN to RN to LPN, CNA, but it's also all the support that goes with it. Somebody's got to draw the blood. We got to have phlebotomists, right? You got to have somebody checking them in. Medical records, right? Surgical techs. There's all these courses. HVAC. IT people. We need a ton of tech people that have great skills like these two guys here. Don't think about going anywhere, all right? You're very happy here, right? Okay. So the last thing I want to touch on before we turn you guys loose on the trustees is the funding slide. Our students pay about 40% of what the total budget of the college is. That's tuition and fees, all right? State provides about 35%, give or take, and that's the money that we all spend in sales tax, in income tax. We write a check to the state on April 15th. If you own a home or property in Ada or Canyon County, you're paying a property tax assessment to CWI, and that makes up about 13% of what the total operation is. And then you'll see the others, self-support grants. That's money that we generate, say, through workforce development, or grants that we apply for and are awarded. Other is things like bookstore revenue and some of those things. So that kind of gives you the funding picture. It's a $60 million operation for 24,000 students. By comparison, Boise State runs about 23,000 students. And what did we say the other night? We looked that number up. $320 some odd million. Now, in fairness to them, you know, because we all think, man, that football team's expensive. That's an athletic operation that's largely separate. Research universities take a lot of money, okay, and they generate other things. So, where do we go next? Health science building, student building. What do we need next? How do we pay for it without breaking us all as taxpayers? That's where I want to turn the discussion over to you. And the reason, even though there's some seats still available here in the audience, that we're recording using microphones, because we're recording on air, and we're putting it out over our Facebook page too, so folks at home can watch. So, questions for these two young gentlemen here, or anything you two want to add to start the conversation?
I want to ask you, are you interested to go to CWI? Okay. Okay. So, if you were a trustee, what do you think we should do?
And put it close to your mouth.
What would you do?
You may want to ask us a question.
Yeah. What? So why are you here tonight?
She had to be here for a school thing. Yeah, she did. She did. Yes.
Who was your teacher?
Mr. Ledoux.
Okay, I need to drop it enough. So I'm thinking government, civics teacher.
English.
Very good. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you. Very good. Renaissance, so you'll get your degree through Idaho State. What are your career plans? What are you thinking? Very good. Awesome. Will you stay here in Meridian and pick it up, or will you go to Pocatello?
Pocatello.
Okay. Very good. See, you see the value, Mom, you see the value, right, in working through that undergraduate when you can. And that's some of the, you know, if we go back to that slide on dual credit, that's a big area for us. All right, let's run me back here to that one.
When you finish.
Okay, so here we are. So you look at dual credit back 2012, which I don't think was very long ago. I know others would, but 734 students, 4180 this past year, full-time equivalents. So a full-time equivalent is 12 credits. So that might be 20 different students, right? Taking a class, 2 classes here and there, but that's, their equivalency makes up 4180. We'll grow again even this year. What's your feedback from dual credit?
It's a good program.
You like it? Is it tough enough?
Yes.
Too tough?
No. It takes a lot of work, but as long as you're dedicated, it
Stay up
pays
on it.
off.
All right, Ethan's taking notes on all of that. From a parent standpoint, what intrigued you about sending your daughter to Renaissance?
All three of my kids have gone to Renaissance.
Okay.
The first two struggled a lot more. She's a very academic student. They need to be a very academic student to do that. My oldest one played sports, and that took a lot of extra time that she didn't
And this
have.
was the home high school?
This is, yeah.
So they go back and forth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of extra time that she just didn't have. So she transferred back her senior year to Meridian. This one, her senior year went to online school and
Nice.
graduated early. She actually should be graduating right now, but she graduated 10 months ago.
Wow, good for you.
And then is going to CWI. So I think the value there for the one that's actually finishing the whole AA program is that in itself. 2 years jump ahead, so much cheaper. I watched my oldest one really struggle her first year, or first semester she went to BSU and struggled very, very badly. And now she's just transferred to CWI.
Good.
So that jump from high school to the four-year college is, they're just not prepared.
It's a big jump.
It's a big jump, yeah. Yeah.
Let me pick on you for a minute.
Okay.
Since you're a current student, do you attend solely online, or?
No.
So you do both?
I do both, yeah.
Give me your impressions of the in-person, on-the-ground classroom.
I really like the teachers at CWI and the classes. I'm doing the registered nursing degree.
Okay, good.
So far, the teachers have been awesome. What I've heard about BSU teachers aren't as nice. Well, they're not mean, but they're not as one-on-one with the students. The classes are bigger at BSU, so I think that's why I didn't even try BSU. I knew I would like CWI.
One of the things that I think, and the reason, I'm not trying to cut you two out, but I'm dominating the conversation, I apologize, but I'm not sure that our folks at home understand the difference in undergraduate, especially those first 2 years at a university level versus a two-year school level like us, is that those teachers at our place, or CSI or NIC, or now in Idaho Falls soon, they have to have a master's degree in that discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I was an undergrad at ISU, and I went and took my Biology 100 course, I sat in a room about this size, full, and watched a 23-year-old grad student up here Captain PowerPoint. And then the protozoic and the cell, and the cell membrane. I got nothing,
Yeah.
right? Small class size, a big advantage. Big advantage.
I have been a student at both. I'm currently at Boise State, and I went to CWI for a couple years. And I steered them in that direction because CWI does have the smaller class sizes. The teachers are more approachable. The curriculum is more geared towards you succeeding, in my opinion, than I'm a biology student, and biology at Boise State, most of those professors are there for their studies and their whatever.
To do
and
the research.
Yeah, they're not on the same level you are, so when you go to a class, especially in the 300 or 400 level classes, they speak at their PhD level, and it's super hard for regular students to understand. They're there to do their research, but they're not really instructors, not very good teachers anyway. So
I want to take this storyline where we're going down this road, because small class sizes, right, which means from the trustee standpoint, we got to hire enough faculty, right, which costs money, but into facilities, and that's kind of where we're at now. So we have these fields, registered nurse, we're going to have pre-med over here, biology over here. How do we get and afford the facilities to make sure that they're there and ready for when you're ready and your other sister who's not here is ready? So I'm going to let you two pick up on that.
I'd like to respond. A couple of things. One, CWI is an open enrollment school, which means that we don't really take in students who have a low grade point average. We have some students who struggle with life, and they will go to school and they don't perform very well, but they're smart students. They just aren't focused on things. And that's what happened to me. When I was a teenager, my parents divorced. When they divorced, I had to help my mother. She didn't make enough money to pay for the groceries and the house, the rental payments and stuff like that. And so I got a full-time job. So I went to work in the afternoon, worked till 11, 12 midnight, and got up and went to school the next day and had that kind of repeated every day. And it's really difficult if you're trying to study and get good grades to do that. And so when I got out of high school, I went to Santa Rosa Community College in California. And that was an eye-opener for me. It was flexible. The teachers cared. I liked the environment. The students were eager. And so it just turned my life around. And that's what CWI has to offer, too, to students. And not only that, but we have students who are really focused, students like yourself, who've gone to great schools. But we do have great programs. In speech and debate, we're now on our 5th national championship, and that's amazing. No one in the history of community colleges has won more than 2 in a row. We've won 5. We are just an excellent school. In the nursing program, top-notch students coming out of our nursing program. We just have a great set of teachers, faculty who really care. And for Mark and I, our concern is that we want to focus the College of Western Idaho on student success. What do we need to do to help our students? How can we help them to be successful? And that's our biggest focus. And that's the #1 priority of our whole school. Now, with that in mind, we have a lot of students who want to come to CWI because we have a low cost. The tuition is $139 per credit versus 200 and some odd plus at BSU. So it's less expensive. And in my mind, I think much better. I'm not knocking BSU. It's a great school, institution. But many students like to be in a smaller environment where they get more individual attention. And as we grow our students, we don't have any buildings to put them in, essentially. We do pay rent, and the rent now is costing us $2 million a year. And that was, the rental agreements were entered into when the economy was taking a dive, and so they were eager to get us and sign us on to use their buildings. But now the economy is turning up. Those rental agreements are going to be renewed, and it's going to cost a whole bunch more. And what we really want to do is have the citizens support buildings and new buildings so we don't have to pay rent. We can buy the buildings, and they're an asset to the school. And as we do that, we're going to build quality buildings that have great connections in terms of the high-tech world, and we also will have the kind of equipment and materials needed for a modern society. And so we're just eager to do that. But when we went to the voters with a bond of $180 million, the voters said, well, I don't think so. But we had 57% said, yes, great idea. We just need to be able to get over that. And we need folks like yourself to go out and talk to the friends and neighbors and say, hey, CWI is a great school, and they can offer a lot. Now, that's a sales pitch from me. What I need to know is, what are your questions? Go ahead.
So, did you say that you're going into the CWI nursing program, or you're, okay. So, 2 weeks ago, I went to the pinning ceremony, and that's one of the best ceremonies. I could tell those students and the faculty, they all hugged each other. So it is like a family. That's part of the whole reason that we're, the board, we just like this family atmosphere. My niece, his cousin, graduated surgical technology 2 weeks ago. So she had to drive from, our lease buildings in Overland and Maple Grove, and then she had to drive to Nampa to get some other things, had to go to the Canyon County Center. So one of our goals when we tried to pass the bond We had 4 buildings proposed. Our priority building was a health sciences building, which is supposed to be built in Nampa. And so we're trying to figure out, how to pay for those buildings. So I guess, as a parent and a taxpayer, what do you think we should do?
Thank you. Say that first part again. They need to hear
I
that.
did vote for it.
Thank you.
I absolutely think we need to grow our community colleges. I think the misconception, most of the people that were against it, at least from the people I talked to, their dad in particular voted against it, and I was like, why would you do that? We need to grow this, we get hit with all these other school levies that just are constant every year. We pay so much in taxes, and I just feel like they're just like, no more. And I think the other thought was, well, how does Boise State pay for it? We don't, they don't ask for community support. However Boise State pays for it, I have no idea. But they have more income coming in somehow. But that was the argument he had was, well, Boise State doesn't ask for money, and they can build, and I don't want to pay any more taxes. So that's where I think that's where a lot of people feel, especially in particular in Canyon County, because we get a lot of taxes for a lot of things like that. And when we're getting hit for the public schools every year on a levy, I think people are just tired of it. So, I voted for it because I absolutely think we need to grow our community colleges. I've gone there, my kids go there. Great professional technical opportunities there that Boise State doesn't have, and people can't necessarily afford, even at those professional technical schools like Carrington and whatever. You don't realize how expensive those programs are.
Yeah, big time.
10-month program for CMA, it costs them like $12,000.
Yeah.
And the kids are doing it when they can do the same thing at CWI. So yeah, I do think we need to grow it. And I'm in the medical field, so I really feel you need to grow your medical arts big time. A lot of medical arts stuff.
You bring up a really interesting point about us and the general public understanding the world of higher ed public finance, and it's really complex. But essentially, Boise State, Idaho State, where you're going to go, right here, okay, University of Idaho, Lewis Clark, they do not have the ability to levy a property tax, but the community college does. So we get significantly less from the state per student and by comparison than those 3 universities and that 4-year college. Now, the idea is, well, you make it up on the property tax, but you make a really good point. It's like, well, whether it's coming through the state, through my sales tax and my income tax, or it's coming through my property tax, all right, is it my left pocket or my right pocket, right? And the one that's hitting us, and this is the challenge that we're finding out, is that we have, generally speaking, a philosophy that, well, the most local governance is the best, right? That's the most responsive. So what our legislature has done over the years to balance the state budget is, especially on the K-12 side, is pushed more to the local school district, the K-12 district, like a West Ada, right, or Nampa, or Valley View, and said, here's what you're going to get. Anything over and above that, ask your patrons for it. And what do? By and large, every year, every 2 years, whether it's plant facility, whether it's operating levy, or bond, most of the time we say yes. But that does reduce the available amount of money for a family. So,
and I don't know how well it was presented to the voters as far as how this was going to work. And as I understood it, it was just going to be a loan that was actually going to get paid back as opposed to a levy. And I don't think people understood that either.
yeah,
I'm totally for that too. Why not?
yeah, the
That's
difference
amazing.
in bond versus levy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So several things. First of all, so I went to Boise State, and then, 25 years later, I was a vice president at Boise State, and I left. But I call this the Treasure Valley discount. And I'm sure you don't want me to say this, but so Boise State is underfunded. versus to the other universities, and CWI is underfunded also, and so all those buildings, the new buildings at Boise State, the state didn't pay for them. Student fees
Oh, no doubt.
were raised. Yeah, I think Boise State did get one appropriation like a year ago or a year.
They got a little bit of help with their fine arts building.
Right.
Gonna be,
But the rest, it was bonds. So we can't get a bond. We can't finance doing a bond.
Without the voter approval.
Right. The other thing is we've been talking to several state officials, because almost every other college and university, they got a health sciences building at some fashion. So we've been talking about that too.
yeah.
Especially with the ISU. ISU has that medical campus here too. You could feed into that. They've got the PA program and the lab tech program, and that's what I did. You know, if you get those first 2 years, you can feed into those. We really need the medical arts.
So you said lab tech, you work in the
Lab tech.
field. You understand then all the different avenues and how big this field's getting, and we're not even coming close to meeting the demand.
No, and even with her trying to get into the nursing, you apply and you apply and you apply. Here, the same thing with PA program. Any of these medical field programs to get into, it's so limited. 20 students a semester,
Yeah.
whatever, and you've got hundreds of people applying, so we can definitely have the need to grow those so we can accommodate the people to feed.
And the competition for positions to become a student at CWI is also very competitive. So, I wish you well, and you'll probably do very well. I hope you get accepted, but there are about 300 applications for about 30 positions. I can't remember how many. We had, 35, 36 graduates?
Sounds about right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so it is competitive, but it is a great school, and the students just love being there.
I just want to say I really appreciate your support. I mean, all three of you, right? And another one, so we don't mess up, we're going to get a shot at. What other questions?
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, go ahead.
So your husband didn't vote for it. I have several relatives who didn't vote for it. And I knew that that was going to be a tough sell. And then right after the bond failed, everybody, the common question I got is, when are you going to go back? And our board decided not to do anything for a year to do these listening tours. And then we realized that, I think it was in March, there was a whole bunch of elections for different all schools, and so we wanted to wait because there's so much competition. And I don't know when the right time is to raise taxes. So we understand that we have to do a better job promoting a bond, trying to determine which projects are the best for the voters to support. And so that's what we're trying to do now, is just to get the word out. I'm just so glad that three of you are here. But we promoted this everywhere: radio, Facebook, Twitter, and so that is our biggest problem, is how to get the word out.
I don't think the students know about it. So when I had voted, again, I very simply read the paragraph on the voter thing that tells you it's going to be paid back, it's for this and that, expanding the buildings, blah, blah, blah. It was really simple. Okay, yes. But when we walked out, and I was like, God, another thing, I voted no. And after I explained to them, I'm like, wait, they're going to pay it back. We want to grow these community colleges. This is what feeds our community. He's like, oh, and he was convinced like that quickly. But nobody had talked to him ahead of time. He wasn't prepped for what this was really about. But even just educating the students, because the students all have families, They can spread the word how important it is to support them and our kids coming up the line, you know, and I think that's the best word of mouth.
Yeah.
She didn't know anything about it. Did you?
I was 17, so.
But you don't know anything about it.
Vote.
You don't know anything about it now, do you?
Yeah, I did.
If you, okay.
I heard you and Dad talk about
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh.
Next year.
Yeah.
You'll
Next
be
year,
eight.
yeah.
it. I'm 18 now.
We'll count on you. We'll count.
One thing that we could tell your husband, from my perspective, is that with $180 million and with the building of the building, there will be an economic stimulus. And then once the students get into those buildings, it will attract even more students because we know from studies that proximity to the school increases attendance. And we're wanting to have buildings in Boise that are CWI, and people understand and know that, and easy to access. And so the location was a central location. And once that happens, with the money being spent, the actual multiplier impact is 9 to 1. So you actually produce $9 more in the economy for every dollar spent. And so if people are saying, well, gee, that's going to hurt my pocketbook, but prosperity will come to the valley as we have more trained students, and we're going to draw businesses who are saying, hey, they have a community college, and that community college does customized education and training for our students. And that's exactly what we do. We went out with partnered with Caterpillar Tractor, and they said, what can you do to educate our students who are going to be our future employees? And can you partner with us and develop a curriculum? And we want to be able to do that in less than 2 years. How long does it take now?
It's 13 months.
13 months.
Yeah.
Just over a year. Those students are hired immediately by Caterpillar Tractor, and the low-paying job for them is about $40,000 to $50,000 a year. I mean, it's good pay for a 2-year college, no, for a 12, 13-month college education. So community colleges really focus on jobs, preparation of students for business and industry, and the ability to place those students into the jobs that they're trained for. I think our placement rate is up in the high 90s.
Oh, yeah. On the CAP program, it's nearly 100%.
Yeah, CAT program's 100%. Oh, nursing program's 100%.
Yeah.
We take
Every
some-
nurse coming out, they have a job.
At our office, we take some externs from your MA program too, and
Good.
we hire a lot of them, but we take some for the externship.
Very good.
We just had 3
So
go
the
through.
argument to the husband is, hey, if you put some money in here, it will grow the economy. And I can understand, well, what do you mean? I got to shell out an extra $13 a year. Well, that's not a whole lot of money.
We just need to do a better job selling it.
Selling it, yeah, educating.
Did we have any online questions? Other thoughts? Yeah.
Where are your buildings that you want to build? They're going to be Boise, or you're going to expand your Canyon County
There were signs up.
campus?
Either one of you.
I can answer it a little bit, and I'll turn it over to our chair. Our focus is in the, what is it called? What's the street that goes by there? No, over in Boise. Whitewater. I was going to say Clearwater, but I knew that wasn't the right word. So Whitewater Boulevard. That'll be our location. But what we'd like to do is we would like to team with business industry in the area, make that a high-tech type of school. Clearwater Analytics is a company like that. Microns is a company like that. There are many companies in the Boise and the Canyon County metropolitan area that need high-tech employees and training. And that's going to be our primary focus. But a general education will also be part of what we're doing there. As I can see the future, I think we ought to have presence in Meridian, presence in Nampa, presence in Caldwell, so that the school is localized to some extent, and that everyone in those communities can have a nearby facility to go to and get an education. An example of that is Salt Lake Community College. They have 7 campuses and 7 fairly large campuses. That's the eventual goal as we grow here, but that will take many years before that happens.
So in '09, the board decided that we're going to have a 2-campus concept, one in Ada County and one in Nampa. So that's why we have 100-acre and 1 building when we started in Nampa. We do have a Canyon County Center on the boulevard. And then when we decided to have an Ada County presence, again, that was '09, that's when we started to lease all those buildings. So we started to search for locations in Ada County. Again, 2-campus concept, Ada County and Canyon County. For Ada County, we knew that the leases were going to get very expensive, and now with, we have to renew a lot of leases, and it's going to be a lot more money. So for 3 years, we searched throughout Ada County for a great location. There is a rule of thumb. You should be 15 miles from every campus. So that's why from our property in Nampa, we made sure that it has to be like 15 miles away just to be cost effective. So when we did lots of studies, we looked at lots of property, and we decided to buy that property downtown. It was because it was close to State Street, the connector, Chinden Boulevard, downtown. We knew that there were going to be a lot of people working downtown that could take classes like the noon hour, the Greenbelt access. So that's why we did that. And so when the bond, when we proposed the bond, that parcel in Boise, it was going to be a different kind of campus. It was going to be several stories, like an urban campus. In Nampa and our Canyon County Center, it's more rural. And so that was our concept, and at this point, that's still our goal. As Stan said, at some point, maybe years in the future, when I'm not on the board, there might be other facilities throughout the valley. But for now, we know that probably in like 5 years, there's going to be 40,000 students that we have to serve. And we're grappling how to deal with, an influx of students with lots of leased buildings. So,
Yeah, good points. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you so much for coming.